What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. So more recently, I've been seeing so many lists talking about the top, the best Pokemon Go YouTubers. And for the most part, a lot of the lists have been a little bit more on the subjective side, and then you have the Summer Tour squad being announced. So people are like, well, you know, what about this content creator? What about this one? Why was this one included? You know, a lot of people just have some kind of like questions about it. So what I figured I would do was actually compile a list and focus on some metrics and then figure out kind of like where all of the YouTubers rank. And then at the same time, I'll be giving you my opinion about their channel as well as what they specifically focus on. So that way, if you are interested in a specific topic and you haven't checked them out, you will now know that you can check them out and kind of what to expect. Anyways, it should be a ton of fun, but with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video. So if you are curious about how I actually calculated this, if you go ahead and check out the key, I basically focused on the total view count over the last 30 days, as well as taking a look at the subscriber growth over the last 30 days. And then what I did was I just compiled the points, and whichever creator ended up with the most points is considered the highest like growth potential or the highest influence currently over the last 30 days. So with all that being said, we can go ahead and get into the number 10 spot. And if you want to go ahead and check out some metrics in relation to some other content creators, I am going to be posting this spreadsheet online for you to go ahead and check out. But in at the number 10 spot is Polka Girl 7, has a sub count of 40,000 subscribers, a total amount of views over the last 30 days of 338,000, and then a sub growth of 2,957. So what can we say about Polka Girl 7? I will say this, as far as like her numbers and stuff are concerned, she may not necessarily pull in the most amount of views, but at the same time, her sub growth is actually fairly good. So basically, if people find her content, it's kind of like one of those situations where once they find it, they immediately know whether or not they like it, and then they kind of stick around and probably gets a lot of repeat viewers. I honestly think that has to do with her covering shiny content so much. She's one of the few larger channels in the Pokemon Go community that focuses quite a bit on shiny Pokemon. And so over time, she'll develop a reputation of kind of like what she covers, and eventually people will say, oh, that's the shiny person. That's the shiny channel that you want to go ahead and check out if you are interested. And once that kind of happens, I could definitely see her channel taking off in the future. Up next is Reversal with a sub count of 335,000 subscribers, a view count of 462,000, and then a sub growth of 634. So what can we say about Reversal? This is one of those names that has definitely been around for a long period of time, but more recently, we've seen a little bit of a transition in his content if you have been following along. Typically, he kind of focused a lot on his own journey, carrying the news, and just kind of like general Pokemon Go stuff. But now I would argue that he's kind of transitioned a little bit more into live streaming, which has allowed him to make a little bit more of a deeper connection on a per viewer basis, and it's become a little bit more of a tight-knit community. Now that may lower the amount of views, that may lower the subscriber growth, but it does make a little bit more of a core audience, and I've definitely seen him kind of venture out of Pokemon Go and actually has been very successful in that. For example, covering the YouTube Rewind, it pulled up some incredible results for that. So if you are interested in a live streamer covering Pokemon Go, he will cover a little bit other things like news and stuff. I would honestly recommend to check out Reversal. Up next is Zoetodots with a subscriber count of 32,000 subscribers, and then we've got a view count of 333,000 views over the last 30 days, as well as a sub count growth of 2,565. So as far as like the sub count goes, this is the lowest one that we've seen on the list, but don't you worry, it's definitely a good channel, and I can honestly see it transcending or blowing up or whatever over this next year. She recently got selected to represent the Summer Tour squad, but beyond that, why would you want to watch her channel? What is going on with it? What is kind of like her main focus? Well, I will say this, for some channels, you're kind of known for one thing. For myself, it's more or less the analytical approach and just kind of focusing specifically on Pokemon Go. Then another channel like maybe MysticSeven is focused on entertainment. I do think that Zoetodots actually has the capability of being both of those. I've seen her do some very highly analytical topics, and she's actually able to, like express herself very clearly about it, at the same time covering very entertaining content. So she kind of hits two different audiences at the same time. So all in all, if you are interested in just kind of like a couple of different things, she's definitely a channel that you want to check out. Up next is JonoPlays with a sub count of 117,000 subscribers, a view count of 600,000 views over the last 30 days, as well as a sub growth of 1,456. So JonoPlays has transitioned so many times as far as like the content that he covers. He went from being an organic player to a spoofer, focusing on spoofing content, to now focusing on organic content, but he is focusing more on live streams as well as covering some other type of game content. So more or less more recent games, more popular games, at the same time covering Pokemon Go is more of like a live journey. And I will say, if you want to check out a channel that is a very good entertainer, I would say that JonoPlays is one of those channels. He can live stream, talk for hours, keep you laughing, keep you interested, and then he also covers some kind of like different topics. So if you are interested in just gaming in general, I would honestly recommend you to check out JonoPlays. Up next is Gilley, a sub count of 92,000 subscribers, a view count of 713,000 views over the last 30 days, as well as a sub growth of 4,971. So at this point in the list, he actually leads in both categories. And if you haven't checked him out and you're wondering why, well, honestly, I think you should go ahead and give him a shot. I think for the most part, he's kind of been put into a box of he's MysticSeven's friend, and people don't really look into it too much more than that. But to be honest, if you watch his content, he's actually a fairly good entertainer. He will do it in a little bit different flavor than MysticSeven, so you're not watching the exact same content delivered in the exact same way as MysticSeven. And occasionally, I'll tell you what, oh my gosh, he pulls out some videos that just blow up out of nowhere. Like, he had a video get over 1 million views, and for Pokemon Go content in general, that was actually very difficult to do this past year, but Gilley was able to do it. So if you are interested in more of an entertaining type standpoint, definitely check him out. Up next is Poki A Cave. So Poki A Cave with a sub count of 119,000 subscribers, a view count of 1.15 million views over the last 30 days, as well as a sub growth of 1,829. So what can we say about Poki A Cave? Definitely different than all of the other YouTube content creators on this list so far. He really does focus on the game, and I swear he covers everything. This guy will upload 2 to 3 videos a day covering all sorts of random topics. He'll also do some kind of weird things like power up some random Pokemon, test them out, do some stuff like that. So if you are a little bit more on the hardcore side, this is a trainer that you definitely want to focus on. Another unique aspect is that he doesn't necessarily include himself in his content. He will most of the time just like record a screen and then just kind of show what's going on with it. He's not going to be sitting in front of a camera talking about himself or like kind of portraying himself in that way. So if you're more interested in just kind of like the content itself and focusing on Pokemon Go and just kind of interesting topics, he's definitely going to be one that you want to take a look at. Up next is Pokemon Master Holly. So Pokemon Master Holly with a sub count of 96,000 subs. We do have a view count of 648,000 over the last 30 days, as well as a sub growth over the last 30 days of, get this, 9,146. Oh my gosh, absolutely insane. That is actually the highest sub growth that we have seen in the last 30 days. So what's going on? What is the news in regards to Pokemon Master Holly? Well, I will say, I think that Pokemon Master Holly has 2 very important things going for her. One is a public presence even outside of just YouTube. She also is able to kind of like transition people over from different mediums. Like, for example, on Twitter, people are more likely to know her from different mediums and then subscribe without even watching a video. That's absolutely insane. And then on the second front, she's one of those people who, once you watch her video and you are the type of person who likes that type of content, you pretty much know immediately. And at the same time, the type of content and how she covers it really does cover a fairly large audience. Versus mine, where I'm focusing on like analytics and I'm focusing on Pokemon Go, you know, it's not that big of a group who necessarily cares about that. On her side, she has some really big potential to really see some growth, and I'm very excited to see like kind of what she does over the next year. So definitely check her out if you're more or less interested in kind of like the entertaining, the personal stories, and then even some analytics as well. In at the number 3 spot is, well, it's my channel. I know a pretty good bit about it, and if you have been following me for a long time, you know about it as well. We'll go ahead and cover some of the metrics. We've got 68,000 subs. We've got a view count of 1.36 million views over the last 30 days, and then a sub count growth of 7,452. And to be honest, I am like very excited about how the channel is moving. The views, the sub count, everything's just been going absolutely great. But what's been the secret sauce? But hey, you've been watching me for a while, so you know, you probably have a reason as to why you like watching my channel. And if you feel like answering that, let me know in the comment section below. You know, why do you like watching my content? I'm going to predict that it's, you know, you get straight to the point, you cover this in such an easy way to understand. It's probably something more or less like that, but definitely let me know in the comments section. That leads into the number 2 spot, and that is MysticSeven, with a sub count of 1.7 million subscribers, a view count over the last 30 days of 3.3 million, and then a sub growth of 5,587. So what can we say about MysticSeven? He is absolutely one of the best entertainers as far as Pokemon Go YouTubers are concerned. I would say that he's a little bit more geared towards like a younger audience. So for those out there who play Pokemon Go like as a family and stuff, and you're kind of looking for a content creator, maybe for like one of your kids, like MysticSeven is easily the #1 option. But I will say this, MysticSeven is trying to transition his content into a little bit more of some serious stuff, kind of sprinkle it in a little bit and kind of provide some value outside of just Pokemon Go. So definitely keep an eye out. I'm kind of curious to see where he's going to be a year from now, and I definitely think it's going to be interesting. So ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for the #1 spot. Maybe some of you predicted this, maybe some of you didn't, maybe you don't know, and it is TrainerTips. So TrainerTips, with a sub count of 835,000 subscribers, a view count of 3.4 million views over the last 30 days, and then a sub growth of 6,942 over the last 30 days. What can we say about TrainerTips? TrainerTips is one of those people who is just in a weird way, like good at just whatever he wants to cover. Early on in his channel, he really focused on just some like kind of tips and some just kind of like analytical stuff, and he actually did really good at that, became known for that, but then definitely transitioned into more of the story, more of the travel aspect, more of just kind of like everything surrounding like the community of Pokemon Go, as opposed to just the actual Pokemon Go information. So definitely transition into more of that. But to be honest, I mean, he puts so much like effort and spin into it and flavor and stuff. He's done a great job, and obviously the metrics show it, but I am honestly very excited to see what he does outside of Pokemon Go, and if he tries to slowly transition into covering some different topics. I think that he has some major potential if he decides to do that. But anyways, that just about wraps up the video. We of course covered the English speaking channels. There are definitely some other larger channels as well. So if you are curious about just kind of like an overall list, including some of those, here you go. Go ahead and check it out. You can see the overall numbers. If you want to take a screenshot, you can do that. If you want to go ahead and take a look at the spreadsheet, I do have a link for that as well. But yeah, this was definitely a ton of fun. I personally enjoyed talking about this type of stuff. We've never really like gone into the analytics of a channel, so I thought it was really cool to go ahead and check this out. But anyways, if you do enjoy this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you next time. I wanted to extend a huge thank you to the supporters over at Patreon. You definitely make this possible, and I 100% appreciate this support. If you are interested in supporting my channel on Patreon, definitely feel free to check out the link in the description.